Welcome to the wall. In today's video, we will see a woman in her 60s who calls herself the Reverend Feminist. This woman has a virulent hatred for all masculine men. We will see her talk about the 2025 Family Reconstruction Project and how she says men are to blame for the removal of the no-fault divorce law. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year to get our first plaque. That is the only support we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement, share your experience in the comments for any man who might need it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
Stop telling me I'm overreacting to Project 2025. Every day it becomes more clear that this plan will make us a theocracy. And what's equally terrifying is how quickly things are changing here. When you consider that the ACLU is currently tracking over 500 anti-LGBTQIA+ bills right now, you can see how quickly Project 2025 is already going into place. And if Project 2025 goes into place across this entire nation, the only person who's going to be safe is the white Christian man. Project 2025 is an initiative by the Heritage Foundation. This is basically a plan that ensures that the initiatives that Christian nationalists want to be put in place will be expedited in 2025 because they are assuming that they will have the Congress and that they will have the presidency because they already have SCOTUS. Project 2025 removes all protections against discrimination based on gender or sexual identity. It terminates all DEI programs, including affirmative action. Of course, it prioritizes Christian nationalism. And that's just not any type of Christianity. That means the literal translation of the Bible that says there are only two genders and the earth is 6,000 years old. And beliefs like that would become the law of the land. And that would be the primary influence that would be taught in our schools. Speaking of education, private Christian schools will be eligible for funding just as if they are public education. Public education would be restricted on what they could teach about biology, science, and history. Project 2025 annihilates all women's rights and would criminalize abortion. And that is already happening. Texas right now is considering the death penalty for women who seek abortions. This also gives government oversight of frozen embryos for IVF treatment, a $2 trillion reduction in Medicaid, a $6 billion cut to the Affordable Care Act, $4 billion reduced from food assistance. Think about that right now. You know someone or love someone whose livelihood depends on that assistance. If Trump is reelected, he will have authority over all branches of government because Project 2025 lays out a plan to fire all civil servants and replace them with Christian nationalist loyalists. The fallout for Project 2025 will reverberate throughout this country. If you are not a Christian nationalist, all religions and beliefs will be forced to the crevices of society. And don't think for a minute that states won't mandate who can marry. After all, right now, here in the state of Indiana, one of our governor candidates is Mike Braun. And 2 years ago, do you remember what he said? He said that he would be open to the Supreme Court overturning the 1967 ruling that allowed interracial marriage. Why? Because Mike Braun thinks that the states need to decide whether or not that is legal. You must educate yourself about how terrifying and dangerous Project 2025 is. Because if Project 2025 continues to walk us into a theocracy, we may never recover. And if Donald Trump is elected, no one will ever have equality again. No other religion or belief. No LGBTQIA+ humans, no Black, Indigenous, and people of color, no immigrants, no women, no disabled people. Friends, the threat is very real. We can fight this. Stay awake, use your voice, and vote.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
A complete fallacy. First, most laws here have to pass through the Senate. Second, why is a law that promotes equality as a human being bad? Because it's better to have a man dressed as a woman teaching biology to your kids from ages 5 to 8. Why is it better that a woman today has all the rights, from child support, alimony, custody of your children, and can access all your assets with minimal years of marriage? As a man, no matter your color, you can't protect yourself. Fathers are forbidden from seeing their children, and just because a woman accuses you of abuse, you're already paying with jail time. But of course, these laws are just yet a project of laws that create fair equality, where no one is above anyone else, is bad. Moreover, this woman is the Reverend Feminist. This tells us everything we need to know. An over 60 woman without a husband, bitter, and with a cat. What types of laws do you think they will want to pass?
Project 2025 is coming after no-fault divorce. Do you know why? Because they want to return us to a time when women were baby factories and relied on their husbands for financial survival. This article, written by Emma Waters in 2022 for the Heritage Foundation, Waters lays the groundwork for opposing no-fault divorce. Now, don't forget who is the primary organizer of Project 2025. That's right, the Heritage Foundation. Take a look at this 2023 CNN article. This explains the ramp up in Christian nationalist commentators like Matt Walsh, who continually complain about no-fault divorces and how it harms men. It also explains how House Speaker Mike Johnson has been an opponent of no-fault divorce for years, even though the data clearly shows that because of no-fault divorce, there has been an 8 to 16% reduction in the number of women intentionally unaliving themselves. Also, the number of women who have been exposed to domestic violence has been reduced drastically. All thanks to no-fault divorce. In an article earlier this month in The Guardian, it reported that lawmakers in Oklahoma, Louisiana, Nebraska, and of course Texas are working to oppose no-fault divorce. You know what this means. It's only a matter of time before other states will follow. We know that Project 2025 is one of the biggest threats to human rights. Project 2025 clearly lays out how they plan to replace all federal employees with Trump loyalists. We also know that Project 2025 is happening right now with the attack on the LGBTQ rights, the elimination of DEI programs, Christian nationalists opposing IVF, and now they're coming after contraception. Under Project 2025, all protections against discrimination based on gender or sexual identity will be eliminated. Project 2025 prioritizes Christian nationalism. It ensures that only white Christian men will remain in power. They do not care who suffers underneath this power structure. Stay awake, use your voice, and vote.
Stop it. Get some help.
Let me make this clear. This channel does not get involved in politics. Our support is for men, regardless of age or race. We are against anything that is unjust. The no-fault divorce law is an unjust law. Don't get me wrong. I support the idea that if you don't want to be with someone, you should be able to divorce. Because no one should be forced to be with anyone. But I do not support being rewarded for doing so. In a marriage that didn't last even 5 to 10 years, the woman divorces simply because she is bored or wants to go on an adventure with another man. Well, go ahead, but you get none of that man's assets. You lose custody rights because you are ruining the family simply by making an emotional decision. It is not fair that the man has to lose everything because you just want to go try out a Chad you liked. This happens a lot. Men receive divorce papers, not even knowing what they did wrong. When you ask the woman, she just says, "The love is gone. I don't love you anymore." They take half your money, accuse you of abuse just to keep the house, put you through an expensive divorce. Afterwards, you end up as a man without a home, with alimony, no money, watching as months later she brings another man to live in your house. Is that fair?
Project 2025 is a boogeyman for the left, huh? Did you hear what Oklahoma just did? Just a few minutes ago. All the public schools in Oklahoma are now required to teach the Bible. Oklahoma's state superintendent said the Bible is so integral to education because of its impact on Western civilization. This is what Christian nationalism looks like. This is the agenda of Project 2025. That agenda not only wants to annihilate all human rights that have been fought for up to now, they want to suffocate any other type of world religion or belief or non-belief by demanding that all students get a Bible education. That is not only turning us into a theocracy, this is religious oppression, and it is a violation of the Constitution. People like this are simply operatives for Christian nationalism. For the rest of us, you should be absolutely terrified about how close we are coming to an authoritarian state. Project 2025 is happening right now. Pay attention to what's happening in your state and stay awake. Use your voice and vote. These extremist Christians must be stopped.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Christianity is extremist, but it's okay for a man dressed as a woman to come to a school and talk to your kids, teaching them that being like that is the right path. It's okay that women today have more rights than men, that we are in this matriarchal system where even talking to a woman can lead to harassment allegations. It's okay for people to burn the flag of your country and raise a rainbow flag above the flag that thousands of veterans died defending for our nation's values. It's okay to have marches and commemorative days, but if someone comes out with a Bible, they will be discriminated against for their belief while others can proclaim theirs. It's okay that you are on every TV channel and series, that schools have progressive agendas where boys are told that masculinity is toxic, that everything they say or do is misogynistic, that just because a boy is white, he belongs to patriarchal white nationalism, and a black man, just for arguing, is considered misogynistic, accused by a woman who was just bothered by his presence. That's fair, right? But it's wrong for someone to talk to you about equality as an individual, to tell you that it's okay to be yourself because God loves you just as you are, and that strong, masculine men are needed.
Why are people going to vote for someone who has been proven time and again to be a liar? Because of patriarchy. Because of our patriarchal indoctrinations, we are taught to believe in confidence over competence. You know that phrase, I'd love to have the confidence of a mediocre white man? There's truth in that. And this isn't the first time in history that we are seeing this. We're going to end up talking about that man with the funny mustache in Europe, whose autobiography Trump kept on his nightstand. Patriarchal is a social system where men hold the primary power. That power gives them the primary role in political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, control of government, and control of property. Of course, that type of system requires that someone's going to be lower in that structure. Someone has to do the work for the man. This leads to the marginalization and the subordination of historically oppressed people. And so for many of us who are deconstructing from Christianity, this also has ties to religious patriarchy or Christian patriarchy. And this is where religious institutions and doctrines hold up the man as the primary authority. But patriarchal systems not only exist in church and in politics, they can exist in family structures, education, society. So you can see here in America how often we've been exposed to patriarchal indoctrinations. What's happening here with Trump versus Biden is deceptive confidence. Patriarchal indoctrination blinds us to deceptive confidence. Leaders like Trump exploit this by presenting a facade of certainty while avoiding substantive answers or plans. Just think back to the debate. How many questions did Trump really answer? Legal analyst Monique Presley put it this way: proof of Biden's ability to run the country is the fact that he's running it successfully, not a debate performance against a pathological, lying sociopath. Heather Cox Richardson explained that Trump used a technique called Gish Gallop. This is where someone uses a technique that throws out a fast string of lies, false claims, and basic gibberish so quickly and so fast that it is impossible to fact check. This is where we get to the man in Europe with the funny mustache. There are many cases in histories of dictators rising to the top using confidence over competence. The man with the funny mustache perfected it. When speaking about the propaganda that he was using, the funny mustache man wrote in his autobiography, quote, "You must confine the propaganda itself to a few points and repeat them over and over," end quote. Who kept that autobiography by his bed? That's right, Trump. Trump is using the playbook from dictators. Trump is pretending to be competent by using a facade of confidence. Trump has mastered Gish Gallop to continue his stream of lies, both in the debate and in his campaign rallies. And yet, the masses continue to gobble that up because they're believing in the confidence over competence, thanks to patriarchy. Stay awake, use your voice, and vote.
Oh, hell no!
There is a saying that those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. In the last 50 years, we had a natural and just order. It's only in the last 10 years that this order has been breaking down, with more laws being passed every day, causing our country to sink into severe polarization. Just look at how we are on the brink of entering a third world war today. As I said, I don't support any parties. Vote for the one you feel deserves your vote. Now, I am against what this woman says, as she is only bothered by a confident man speaking the truth, talking about an agenda that the party never said they would implement, just because her beliefs might be challenged, and she accuses all men of carrying it out. I am against giving more rights to people who do nothing productive, against the implementation of a progressive victimhood agenda, where even companies are obligated to hire people based on ideology rather than talent, where a man is accused just for going to the gym and taking care of his body, where a woman who wants to have children and stay at home is demonized by a single woman who destroyed her marriage, where a man can lose all his assets because a woman files for divorce over trivial reasons, and against a man wanting to protect his family, be masculine, and discipline his children, being accused of abuse or misogyny. That's what I am against.
Let's talk about what this comment teaches us about Project 2025, religious patriarchy, and misogyny. Your attempt at using sarcasm to place a narrative over my video falls short, because nowhere in my videos related to Project 2025 do I use a generalized language to support your assertion. Nowhere am I saying that all people with my skin tone are monsters. So what this feels like is someone is having fragile feelings around a difficult subject, and that someone is having trouble accepting some of our collective history. So to that end, you would be well served reading this book, A Fever in the Heartland by Timothy Egan. This book tells of the rise of the YT supremacy that is a precursor to the Jerry Falwell, Paul Weyrich, and Ronald Reagan era. And that is the era of Christian nationalism that brought us Project 2025. Another book that I recommend is Bad Faith by Randall Palmer. Palmer describes the real origin of the religious right. It's everything to do with segregation. If you don't want to buy that book, you can go to Politico.com and search for The Real Origin of the Religious Right, where Palmer wrote an article about that book. To even make it easier, there is a documentary called Bad Faith that is based on Palmer's book. It's available on several streaming channels. Now, to the last word of your comment. I'm not sure if you know who Joyce Meyer is, but I used to follow her all over the country. And she told a story one time that she always knew when she had crossed a line with her husband when he called her woman instead of her name. And while you may have thought it was subtle, it's insulting, it's dehumanizing, and it's objectifying. It asserts a dominance that reinforces the religious patriarchy. What you are doing is using this to remind me of outdated norms and subtly remind me of my inferior position to you, a man. It signals misogyny, but I want you to know that I reject it vehemently. While I'm certain that nothing I say about how you use that word will change your mind, for other people who are here, do not let men do this to you. You have a name. You have a space in the world. Take it up with courage and confidence. It's the men with fragile feelings who have to learn how to deal with it.
Oh my God!
I tell you, this woman is against men. This man tells her to stop demonizing white men because it's always the privileged patriarchal white man. Let me tell you something. In every race in this country, I've seen men with money and men who don't have a cent. I've seen men in high positions and men in the lowest positions. It's all victimhood. I know the past, but those who live in the past can't focus on the present. This woman has an agenda, but her agenda is against men. She targets a specific man until she will eventually target all men, as if there are no white men in the Democratic Party. So, are there good ones and bad ones? Another thing, family values, where the man is the leader, the provider, the protector of the family, exist in all races. There are Christians in all races. She just looks for an enemy to influence her hatred and bitterness of being a 60-year-old woman on the wall. Because it's a victimhood agenda, it doesn't matter the skin color of a man in this country. The abusive laws towards men also apply to you. And finally, since when has saying the word woman become a form of oppression? How should we refer to them then? Aliens? That's why I say we have reached such absurdity that if you ask a woman what a woman is, today she doesn't even know what it is. This is the point we're at, brothers. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think of the 2025 project? What do you think of this woman's hatred towards masculine men? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.